I'm Mina. I'm from Detroit, Mercy. I'm Selena Cholak. I'm from Detroit, Mercy, Kassab.
I'm Brenda Bacall. I'm from Wayne State, Kassab.
I'm founder of this beautiful museum. I name it Danny Kassab Museum after my son Danny. I welcome all of you today, the student, to this event. I hope we can learn about each other, about our culture, about our community, about our old country, Mesopotamian. Welcome here. Love you to have you here today, all of you. Now I will introduce you to my wife, Faye.
What Kepler class year are you from? What year did Kepler did you graduate?
What?
Did you have a dinosaur or a car? I'm just checking. And now I'm saying, I graduated from Oak Park High School in 19, I'm not going to tell you what, it's 19 something, but I know Sam is way, way back in the day. He was the president of his class of 10. I'm just kidding. What year did you graduate? Seriously?
1969. High school.
Was it? Okay, we'll take that.
They look at Mesopotamia, at us. What do we give to the world? Who we are. This is our culture. Was a real country over there, real civilization, real people there. And they say the Sumerian came in from different planet, different part of the earth, but we do know that the first time there is something documented in the history in writing was in Sumer. Some professor in university, they call the topic of Sumer because they have a voting system, they have lawyer, they have court, they have schools, they have everything that could imagine this exists today in this world, they have it over there. And in their books, they claim their history back like another 5,000 years before that in their documentation. It was real civilization, we missed it. But if you need to learn more about it, all this culture, you could go always to YouTube and you see a lot of filming about it. So the civilization was there in that southern of Iraq in the Sumer, Arigo, and those cities. From there, the power shifted to other civilization, never to them, they call them the Akkadian. And those are, you see the right side picture here for the victory of the king of Naram-Sin in one of his artwork too. And after that, the Akkadian, from actually, if you look at it, the history 2,300 to 1900, another 400, 500 years of the civilization, the power was in this part with the Akkad. From there, the power shifted to the city of Babylon with the great king of Hammurabi. So if you look here, you see the Hammurabi, that's a line of Babylon. That's where the empire of 1900 to 1100 BC, the Babylon was the center of the world. That means if somebody wants to go to the honeymoon, he wants to go to tourism, everybody wants to go to Babylon. During Hammurabi, same time during Nebuchadnezzar time. That was the Babylon city. And in the most important part of the history of the Babylon actually, going back to the king Hammurabi, and this is the king Hammurabi, 30 years king, that in that time he ruled Iraq about 40 years. He was 30 years old, and he showed that he put the law, the culture, the school, but the most known is for the code of the law, code of Hammurabi. In this picture, as a lot of you maybe heard about this, right? So if you go to Law University, always you're going to see the King Hammurabi over there, this kind of relief in the schools, in the law school. And if you look at it here, from the power of Babylon, there was another civilization north of Iraq, actually where our villages coming in, at Mosul, Kirkuk, Al-Qush, and Zahu, Baghdad. This is actually the Assyria, that's the empire, Assyrian Empire. From 1100 to 612, there was only world known the Assyrian Empire. That's where there is a science they teach in university, they call it Assyriology. The Assyrian Empire actually, if you go back, that Nineveh city, where we come from, there's villages, it was about 1,200 miles from eastern Iran all the way to Egypt. It was ruling it from Nineveh, Mosul. 800 miles from southern Turkey all the way to Saudi Arabia was ruling it from city of Nineveh. That was the Nineveh city, the great city of the world. And after that, we look in here what I did in the museum. So I took this 4 civilizations from Sumerian, Akkadian, Babylonian, the Assyrian, and all this major civilization play roles in history of Iraq. After the fall of the Assyrian, there was another empire came in, and it was a Babylonian took over again what they call the second Babylonian period, or the Chaldean Empire, where the king Nebuchadnezzar came in and ruled the Middle East in the same time. After the death of Nebuchadnezzar, the Iraq lost the power inside. Always we have people coming, the Persian, the Greek, the Arabs ruling us since that time until today. Over here, what I did actually, I put the Ashtar Gate. The city of Babylon was a great city, and there was like street, right, left, very organized city. And people, again, when they want to go tourist, honeymoon, trade business, they go to the city of Babylon. And it was so strong, the city, there was 2 walls that nobody could attack the city. Each one about 10, another one I think was 6 feet between them, and nobody could come to the city inside. But the city fell to the Persian one time, and from that time, Iraq never has any power no more inside. So I took the Ashtar Gate, and each of those animals has symbol something, and those are, there's 100 of them, was an Ashtar Gate. And the Ashtar Gate, actually, the German came in, archaeologists, they took everything from there, and they found that gate, and they took it, I think, in a Frankfurt Museum or Munich, somewhere in Germany. Maybe some of you have seen it before. So this is actually the history of the Babylon and civilization. Over here, I put some artwork to represent different culture. So if you look into this art piece, there's so many we can learn from it. Look how beautiful the art 3D, and how big is this piece. The original piece actually of this is in the British Museum. This is replica, is bigger size than what it is London. Because the Assyria was an empire for 600 years, they have schools over there to make sure they have military schools. Just like we have military school here, they have military schools for the people, for their army, plus they have special military school for the king. So the Nineveh, which is Mosul today, the king to be qualified in that time to be a leader, he has to pass a test. So what they do, they keep the lions without food, without water for a week. They get the lion out, the king has to fight the lion. If you win the fight, that's when he's qualified to lead the nation. If he doesn't win the fight, he's not. You imagine what kind of king we have in our villages, and what kind of leader we have in that time. So this is the relief is for Ashur-Nasir-Pal in finding the lions. When the king won the fight that time, they didn't have picture to take like our camera today. They do relief. And you imagine how many artists are there to do this kind of work. Today, all the world, you go to British Museum, to Louvre Museum, Germany, they look at Mesopotamia, at us. What do we give to the world? Who we are. Millions of people walk into this museum every day in Europe just to look to our culture. And not only we talking about Assyria, we're going back to Babylon, we're going back to Akkad, we're going back to Sumer. And it's still wherever they discover, maybe there's 10 times more is not discovered yet. This is our culture. So because Assyria was empire very strong, one of the professors of Helsinki, he put this relief as a great seal of Assyria. The courage of the Assyrian king finding the lion. And there's many pictures here, yes.
I want to add a fun fact that John D. Rockefeller commissioned this in 1932, built up as a statue at the Met, the Metropolitan Museum in New York City.
Oh, excellent.
So if you ever go there, you'll see it.
Thank you. And again, this is another king of Assyria. There was one of the greatest king of the Assyrian known. That was the king Ashurbanipal. The same thing. This is his relief military training and finding the lion and trying to win the fight against the lions and to consider as a king. King Ashurbanipal was one of the best king in the history of Iraq. Why? Because in his time he ordered all. There was no books to write that time. Everything was written down in a tablet, mud tablet, in stone. So he ordered all the history, every tablet has been written down something to be bringing into Nineveh. And he created a library they called Ashurbanipal Library. So that library there was about 30,000 tablets. So when Nineveh fell, 612, burned by Persian and attacked with the Chaldean, that time this library it burned. When the library burned, the tablets become harder and stronger and stay under the ground until European Renaissance. They were studying, they say in the Bible there was Babylon, there was Egypt, where those cities. These scholars are coming from the Europe to Iraq and they move in the dirt, they discover all the civilization where we were talking about it today. And that's how we are where we are today. So they discovered the Ashurbanipal library, 26,000 tablets, and they're still reading in it. And we learn so much from these tablets. So he was a great king. This from Babylonian. This represents city of Namrud, one of the oldest city in Assyria too. And this is a worshiper that given things to God. And many things in this you could read in it. This is Epic of Gilgamesh. I don't know how many of you read the Gilgamesh epic. If you don't read the Gilgamesh epic, go back and read it. This is actually Gilgamesh. He wants to be a god. He don't want to die. What happened? A very beautiful journey and stories. And you should really buy that book and read it. And this is actually in Ur. Gilgamesh used to be the king, and every woman got married. He used to have that woman first night before go to her husband. That was a very interesting story after that. When he come to die, he don't want to die. He take a journey to go to talk to the God, tell God, I don't want to die. He said, okay, you're not going to die, no problem. You can't sleep. He said, what do you want me to do? He said, you don't have to sleep. So went to see the God, and after 1 hour he slept. The God tell his wife that you're going to make a bread. So they make the bread. Another hour he was sleeping, make another bread. And so for 8 hours, you wake up and tell him, God, you're going to need to go back. You have to die. You can't be a God. He said, I didn't sleep. He said, no, you sleep. He said, no. He said, look at the bread. The color of the bread has been changed every hour. But anyway, you could read about it. It will be more interesting. This is actually the king Asarhadon. And this is actually Nineveh city. The story will tell here how strong was the Assyrian Empire. They bring the king, the enemy of their other countries, and take him in a leash in the royal park in Nineveh. That's how strong was the country at that time. So when I walked you through this a little while ago, this is actually the culture of us, the culture of Assyria, the culture of Babylon, the culture of Chaldean, Assyrian, Mesopotamia, whatever you want to call it. This is where we are. But today we are American. We are American by choice, we are American by birth. We should be proud and love and honor this country every day. And we need to work. So what I did here, And the other section here represents what America stands for today, which all of you today as Americans. I used to have a patient, so he was a history teacher. And he sent me one time an article about the Great Seal of America. And I never forgot that one. He said, when I did the museum, I decided to put it in because this is the Great Seal of America. As you know, all of you, America became independent 1776, right? And what year we have the first president? When do you have first president? Come on, what's wrong with you folks? Student!
1777.
Who was first president?
George Washington.
Good job. So 1776 we become independence, and that time there was 13 colony, right? And George Washington actually, there was the 13 colony, they disagree with it, and that time there was some misunderstanding between them, and they until 1781 George Washington after 17 it took 4 years to agree in Declaration of Independence, and 1781 they elected first president. George Washington was the president in 1789. The first president was elected in 1781. His name was John Hanson, was not George Washington. So go to your history book, you have to know that. Because there was 8 more presidents, and there's one president every year. The Declaration of Independence was very weak, it didn't work it out. 1789, they put the new constitution where we are living in with it today, and they elected George Washington as first president of the United States under the constitution we are in it today. But first president of the colonies was John Hanson at that time.
Who's the first president of the United States?
So he was a great president. He ordered the foreign flag and foreign troops out of American soil. He put foreign affairs. He did a lot of work in his time. And they tried, the generals the military wanted the money, and there was no money in the country. And that time there was kind of coup. They want to put George Washington as monarch. But he was able to negotiate it with the army and military to come down, John Hanson, and make everything go forward. Okay. George Washington became president in 1789, and he told Benjamin Franklin to design the Great Seal of America. So it took 4 years to design it until they agree on it. So they choose the eagle. Why they choose the eagle? Because the eagle is not afraid of the storm, and he soared above the storm. Second, he put the eagle without shield, meaning this country is independence. They choose 13 olive of a branch. 13 mean this country love the peace. They choose 13 arrow. If the president give a speech, the eagle looking at the arrow, that's mean we do not mind to fight to preserve the peace. If you look here in the top, it's in $1. There, could you see it? And this is actually there. Could you see what is there? How many stars?
13.
How many? 13.
Yeah.
And there's a cloud. I mean, any misunderstanding between us is going away. And there are 13 stars. But you see how lined it up? It's in $1. Anybody pay attention to it? Like Star of David.
Wow.
Do you know why? Because in that time, there was no money in the country. And there was Jewish guys, Solomon helping the military and funding them. So in that time, they asked him, Mr. Haim, you help us so much, what we could do for you? He said, nothing for me, something for my people. So what is the Star of David? So they put the star like Star of David. This is the Great Seal of America. There's 13 stripes, one nation from many, and all this is that seal. That's actually, this seal, there's so much in that when you can learn from it about history. Okay. And over here, there's a pyramid on the other side of the seal. That's mean we're building it, but we're not over the sea. There's 13 level of the pyramid. We're looking at the west. We are building the west. I put Abraham Lincoln because Abraham Lincoln was a great president. And after I saw his movie, I fell in love with him, how much this made contribution to this country. So thanking him, he was a great president. Justin was a soldier in Fallujah. In one incident, his job was to take the bomb apart, assemble the bomb. And one time he cannot take that apart in time, and he knows there was not enough time. So what Justin told his friend to get away. Well, there were 11 of them around him. And he put himself over the bomb and he saved their life. They saved all his friends. This is Justin. And actually he was honored as a Gold Star. So he was a great soldier.
I think 21 or 23.
Yeah, he was the only son for the family. His father, a friend of mine, he's the chief police, was for Wixom City. So this is actually, I'm going to walk you through those why American section here, because today we are American. This is the country, honor us, give us the future, the opportunity. Over here, as you see, this is 911. So sometimes we forgot the terrorists, how many bad people between us, and you wake up one day, you see your neighbor got killed by terrorists, and we see them every day, still in this country, there's a lot of them. So we don't want to forget what happened to us in 911 was 2003, right? 2001. Sorry. Okay. So a lot of you saw this picture right before the stamps, but where did the flag came from? When this firefighter arrived there was a Hudson River and there was a boat over there, and actually there was American flag in that boat. They took that flag and they put it over there. That means there is this national spirit of the people. Do not worry about it. America stands still here. So that was the story of the flag that came in. So when the President George Bush ordered the first flight bombing in Afghanistan, they put that flag in the plane flying over Afghanistan. And when they come back, they took that flag, they signed it, and to give it to the owner, that boat, and the flag disappeared. Somebody took it. So that was the story of this. And they're still looking for that flag. Back here, during Reagan time, actually there was, we have a big Cold War with Russia. And ongoing issues between Russia and the United States. And Ronald Reagan wanted to bring Russia down. So in one of his meetings, he said to the staff, he said, I want somebody to tell me, how can I bring the Soviet Union down? And the president asked a question, you gotta listen, you just can't say whatever you want, something that makes sense. For 20 minutes, and nobody said anything, and after that, one of his advisors, Brzezinski, was, I think, and he said, John Paul II. And he said, how? And they worked together. Ronald Reagan go visit John Paul go to Poland, and from there revolution started. Ronald Reagan go to Germany and tell Gorbachev, tear this wall down. And from there, everything started falling apart. They bring the Soviet Union down. And we saved the life and freedom to hundreds of millions in Eastern Europe. That was these two people together. We should not forget how much make contribution to the history.
That's why he's our saint today.
Yeah. Back here, actually, and this is actually honoring American soldier. The reason I put this, again, I learned from that Roy Batt. He was one of the patients we take care of him over years. In his email, he sent me email for American writer. It was his name, Ben Stein. And Ben Stein one time wrote an article about the soldier. He said, the hero, not us. The hero, the people searching for Bin Laden in mountain Afghanistan. The heroes are the people searching for Saddam Hussein in the street of Baghdad. Those are our heroes, the soldiers. And without these great soldiers we have all over the world, we cannot have country like America today. So he said, when American soldiers sign for the service, he write a blank check. And he put in blank check the price. I defend the United States of America with my life. This is an honor for us to see those soldiers and to appreciate every day what they do. Because we're celebrating holidays here, they were somewhere else defending America. So when you see the soldiers, tell them thank you. If you see somebody urgent, help them. If you see soldiers coming out of the plane, in the market with the family, tell them thank you. Because really they're doing a great job. Senator Wadi Dada said to me one time, he said, how much is America important to the world? He said, God got two eyes. One eye watch all the world, the other eye watch America. We should love this country, we should honor this country, and we should work very hard, all of us, to be successful leaders for the future, make contribution to our community, to the country, to have a beautiful and lovely country, enjoying it and peaceful. This is actually what you see here. This is actually love of the culture, love of the country, and love of God. Thank you. Inside there, there's some other picture. I don't know, some of you see it, some visitor, and what the Tilkepe looked like in that time. Would you like to come and see? Yes. Come on. It was fear, yeah.
It was really fear?
You can see in the picture some security with me at the same time. Yeah. Come on in. This is actually what some picture for Tilkepe, the village we came from, would look like. And this is my visit in 2010. Again, thank you all for enjoying. Any question can I answer to anybody?
Was this your house?
He did all the structure for the steel, for those artwork. Yeah, that's my house, yeah.
ولا تعمله؟
Huh?
ولا تعمله؟
The house still there, yeah. Yeah, I was there till 7 actually. Yeah. You see those? The one?
This is the video, by the way.
So far, I accomplished my dream also was by having my own studio, my own personal studio that I create all my work in. I never have to work for anybody else in my life. It's only for myself. So all the time that I've spent thinking and trying to accomplish my dream was to be a own artist, to do things that I love to do, to embrace my culture, and it came a day where I did it. Now I'm standing in front of everybody saying that if you work hard, your dream will come true. Nothing is too hard. You just have to work very hard and you'll reach your goals. That's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Randy. I'd like to now bring to the stage from MEA TV, Wally Jadad. Don't be shy, you're on TV all the time.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, nobody told me about that. But again, the message that Sam want to relate to you, that you have a great culture, you have a great history, and we want everybody to know about it. And there is no better than you guys with the student, with other students in your school, in your college, to relay the message, because you're going to be the future leader, if it's in our community or other community. So to get to those students and tell them about our culture and about history, you pave the way for the whole community at large to know about our history and about culture. And once again, Sam, honestly, I come here many times. And I come with politicians, I come with delegation, and when they see these cultures, you know what? They don't know. The American people, they kept away from the rest of the world. Most of them, they're naive about other culture and about other history, and even about their own history. So through you and through Sam, when he bring the politician, when he bring the delegation, and when he bring a student that relate to other student, that's how we become known to the community at large, and to know the community at large who we are, with very, very rich culture, very rich family value, that we're very proud of it. Once again, Sam, thank you for that.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Wally. And now I'd like to bring to the stage history teacher, former teacher of the year, and my cousin, Crystal Kassab.
Thank you. Thank you, Amsanar, for having me. I'm so happy and so proud of Kassab. Kassab's still going strong. Almost makes me emotional. I'll tell you why. 25 years ago at U of M Dearborn, my sister, Zina Kassab Shirak, started Kassab. And she started it with another guy named Firas A.R., or Fred A.R., yes, it was Fred A.R. They started together. They were at U of M Dearborn, where there's a large Arab population there. So it kind of distressed them. They were all friends, but kind of distressed them that everybody clumped them together with Arabs, or Arabs, they used to say. And so they said, you know what, we're different. We're not exactly like them. We had some cultural similarities, but we're different. We have our own history. We have our own culture. Let's start a group. So they started a group, and it was pretty successful. And I remember so vividly, I still remember it. They come to Wall Lake Western, where I was a student, and they came and they called all the Chaldean kids to go to this one classroom, and they came about 5 of them from U of M Dearborn, from Kassab. And their tagline was "Knowledge is power," and they encouraged us as high school students to start thinking about college, to go to our counselors, ask our teachers, start researching. We didn't have internet then, but we had to actually open a book and go to the library and look into different colleges. They encouraged us to do that, and I was really proud. I was like, "That's my sister, everybody. That's my sister. That's my sister. That's my sister." And it was really, really, really cool. She bought me for the rear view of my car. It said U of M Dearborn on it, like a sticker, and I was like, I'm gonna go there. So when I went there, she had already graduated. She's a few years older than me. It kind of waned down. So 97 is when I started. We brought it back up. That Kassab, U of M Dearborn. We did a lot of wonderful things. We tried to pick up from where they left off. They would go to schools with large Chaldean populations, do the same that they did at my school. They'd encourage kids to go to college. We'd have pancake breakfasts at the church. We'd do parties where we had raise money for scholarships. It was really nice. We did things even within us. So we did something, I don't know if you guys do this, but we would collect our homeworks and assignments and teachers' notes from all our classes at U of M, and then we put them in files, and then whoever wanted it from the next semester, they just asked for it. Did you guys do that? So people might call it cheating, but we called it collaboration, collaborative study. So it wasn't anything that we thought was really, it wasn't dishonest or anything, because the teachers changed their tests anyway, so it didn't really matter. But we thought it was really nice and collaborative, and we did things together. I was secretary for 3 years, and then my 4th year I was the president. We really took it seriously. It was a real true job to us. Also in the 90s, we'd have at church, you guys won't know this, but we used to have big graduations at the church. So you might remember, the big graduations at the church. So we'd have a mass, all the graduates would be there, high school, and then there'd be some college, maybe 2-3 rows of college. When I was young in high school, and even beginning college, and even as a kid, there weren't really many role models to look at that were Chaldean. I wasn't going to see them on TV. We weren't going to hear them on the radio either, in the national. We saw some in front of us, mostly at church. Father Frank, Bishop Francis, he was just Frank, and he was in the seminary school. He was really cool to us. There are a few other people. Of 36 grandkids, only one of my cousins had gone to college. and he was an engineer. The rest didn't. So it was hard to see, we didn't really see many in our community going to college. But after time passed, those church ceremonies, the graduation, they were too big. There were too many people. And it was no coincidence. Kassab really did have an influence. They really, really, truly did. So I encourage you to continue doing what you're doing and reaching out to not just in your own communities, your own schools, but also to the people in Iraq. They do need our help. They want to go to college too, just like we do, and we need to work on encouraging them and helping them. I know some people might be part of the S2S coalition, right? Through Help Iraq. I'm also in Teach, which is also through Help Iraq. I encourage you also to learn more and more about your history, to preserve it, to share it, and also to celebrate it. So something I tell my students is I teach culture, I teach history, and I teach English, I teach everything. I can't teach math or science. I don't know how to do that. I can't. I don't have the degree. But I always tell them, know who you are, where you came from, so you can know where you're going. And so I leave you with that. So very proud of you and encourage you to continue your wonderful work. Thank you. And I follow the Kassabs on Instagram and whatever. But if you have a great story to share, I also write for the Chaldean News. Let me know. Let me know, and I'll love to cover it. Thank you.
Thank you, cousin. So she told a story about how you heard in Dearborn they were trying to get their own identification for Chaldean instead of being linked with everyone. When I was in high school in the 90s, actually, we kind of had the opposite problem. One day our report cards came home, and Dad, I remember this. Report cards came home, and on the report card it said, Chaldean Kassab. On the report card. And every Chaldean in the school, their first name was replaced with the word Chaldean on the report card. Chaldean Kassab. And not that we were the best kids in school or anything, but that's kind of wrong, right? Said this is like profiling, right? So, we're all young kids and we're in high school. Bob, this is what happened, and we all went and told our dads. And there wasn't more than maybe 12 Chaldeans in the whole high school. And so we're standing there, and so they really identified us, right? Exactly who we were, but maybe not in the best way. So tell our dads, and our dads get together, and it's the middle of the winter, and then next day, you look in the hallway of the school, and you got 6 Chaldean dads with long trench coats and top hats walking through the school. And so, all of a sudden, see the principal, and you're about to get it right now. You're going to see what happened when you do that. And they went in and they straightened it out, and they, they're going to set the record straight. But that was my little story. So, anyhow, thank you for that. And now I'd like to bring to the stage candidate for state senate, Mike Shalab. Come on up, Mike.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Sam, for having me here. And thank you all for showing up. I'm really inspired by what you guys do. And this is it. Us, we are inspired, and then we inspire. So from one generation, we pass it down to our offsprings. And I'm going to tell you a little story about myself, of how I came here and why am I running for Senate, or state Senate. I was born in Iraq. I graduated high school in Iraq. I was 17 when I moved here with my family, and same thing with most of us. We escaped the tyrant regime in Iraq, and we sought prosperity and freedom, religious freedom and freedom of speech and all the freedoms that we enjoy here. And after 17, obviously, I came here to this country, and I had to go to school. I had to continue going to school because I was not going to get a business and get stuck in it like most people do, because I wanted to do something better for myself. So I went to school, and the sacrifice was that I had to work 3 jobs. And not just me, all of my siblings did the same thing, and I'm sure a lot of your parents have done the same thing. It's a sacrifice, so it comes in a package. Now when we move here, we want to establish ourselves. Aside from money, we need education, and that's what you guys are doing. You're pursuing your education, which is a privilege. Most of us that came to this country at a younger age, we could not do this. After high school, I finished high school in about 3 semesters. I graduated high school instead of GED. So, and then I went to college. It took me about 7 years to graduate college. I had to go to ESL classes, a lot of ESL classes. I still need help with my English. And after that, I went to university. Now, I got married young. I have 2 kids. My wife Berta and I have Alessandro and Ronaldo. We're proud of them. They're honor roll students. And at the age of about 18, I decided that we wanted to put ourselves or our foot on the map. So while I attended Berkeley High School, there was something called Jewish Holocaust Week. And we all had to go to the auditorium and sit there and listen to a lecture for an entire week to learn about what the Jewish community had to endure over time. And I thought to myself, well, we had to endure a lot in Iraq. You know, you guys may not know, you may not have lived it firsthand, but it was time for us to share our story with Americans, especially when we had been going to Iraq in 1990, there was a war, and then continued the war. Since the day I was born, we had wars in Iraq. So why aren't our story isn't being told to the young Americans? So I went up to my ESL teacher and I said, look, I want to do something too. They said, it's impossible. 1, you don't speak English. And 2, no one has done this before, and everybody wanted to separate themselves from me, that whatever 10 Chaldeans that we had at Berkeley High School at the time, because to them I was a border, and which I'm still, still am, and I'm proud of them too. But they said that I needed to take a hike. I said, no, I'm going to write something. I'm going to give it to my ESL teacher. She's going to translate it for me, and I'm going to take it to the podium, to the administration, and I'll demand that we have our own week. So I did. I wrote it. I took it to the principal. They agreed, and then we came back. I was looking for another speaker to help me with it. No one would volunteer, like I said. So we developed a PowerPoint presentation, and I started it. And I forced the entire school to listen to me talk about Mesopotamia, 10,000 BC forward until the 1998 that day. So I told them everything about who we are, how proud we are of ourselves, where are we, how are we being persecuted as Christians with the indigenous people of Iraq, and then where are we now and why are we here? And to them it was unique, but to me it was very empowering. Because now I get to participate in building an identity here for myself in my host country. After that, obviously, I graduated at university, and then I started working for the government. I was a green card holder when I was assigned to my first clandestine operation in the Middle East. So I started working for the government. This was after a long sacrifice, and then after that, 15 years I've been working in the intelligence community. I've worn many hats, from senior intelligence analyst to SIGINT human operations. I was an advisor at the Department of Homeland Security with Deputy Undersecretary, and I've also worked with a lot of agencies, CIA, FBI, State Department, and I was deployed. I've done a lot of work in uniform and military uniform, and a lot of work as a civilian with ties and suits with dignitaries. 2010, I ran for office. I ran for office for the same exact reason. We wanna build this body in the government, which we lack. We need advocacy. We need advocacy not only here in Lansing, but also in DC. And it all starts here. We are the nuclei for our community worldwide. Everybody looks at the U.S. as the hub for where everything happens. So it's on us. It's on us to establish that platform. And it's on you guys to continue this movement. I understand that, you're very proud of what you do, and I'm very proud of you, and I'm proud that I belong to this community, because you guys show me that we've actually moved forward and we've built something. Before, we did not have this. We did not have Kassab. So when someone wanted to talk about who we are, everybody stayed away. They shied away because they did not know how to approach it. But we are very persistent, and that's our nature. So in 2010, I thought that we lacked representation, and so I decided to run for office. It was a really ridiculous move on my part, but I took all of my savings, my kids' savings, and I decided to gamble with it. Why? Because I wanted to raise that awareness, and to us it's very important. Sam, of all people, knows how underrepresented we are in the state of Michigan and in the U.S. And I'm sure Wally agrees with me too, because he speaks with a lot of politicians, and we all know, other than Clint Cusco in 2012, we don't have anybody. Before that, I believe Jerry Yoner tried to run for office back in 1967 for a state house, and he lost. But we continue, and we are very persistent. I'm a fighter myself. I'll never back down. We lost. The first election I ran, I lost miserably. I mean, by 13, but we won. We only got 13 votes, 13% of the votes. In 2010, I ran successfully, I believe, ran against an incumbent, was by 54 votes, and we were outspent by 5 times. Next time we run, obviously now I got the blessing, we're moving forward with a Senate seat, and then hopefully we win. But I want to be part of your organization. I want to help you, and at the same time, I expect that we collaborate. And this is, it all falls on us. Sam have dedicated a lot of his time going with me to events, attending conferences, introducing me to politicians here, trying to lobby, because we need this. We got to work together. If we don't work together, we all fall apart. So I really don't want to take up much of your time, but I'm really, really honored to be here with you guys. I want to thank Sam again for his hospitality, and I look forward to working with everybody and representing everybody here. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. It's important to have friends in Washington, friends in Lansing, to be able to be involved in government and be involved in policy. And we wish you the best, and we got the support of your community. Thank you. I'd like to bring up a longtime friend of mine and one of the founders of the Shlama Foundation, Rena Abro. Come on up, Rena.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Is this good? Hi. Okay, my name is Rena Abro. I'm with the Shlama Foundation. I have been involved in the community in most organizations for a very long time. I'm actually here with 2 other board members. They're sitting, there's Yvette Shahara back there, and John David. Yvette, oh, sorry, she's Kassab now. We married into this family.
Get it right.
So I guess I used to be a president of OU Kassab a long time ago, and I used to work for the Kassabs at Guardian Angel Home Care, and I was right in front of Ziad. I was an assistant every single day for 2 years. So
you loved it, right?
It was great. I really love the Kassabs. I'm happy to be here today. I've done this tour a few times, and every single time I get more out of it. I wish it was open to the public. You guys should do that maybe once in a while. I want more people to see it. It's really, really great. I would argue this is the best museum that our community has in the state. I know the new exhibit at the DIA has actual old artifacts, but this size is really, really nice. So today I'm here to talk about the Shlama Foundation. Most of you know about it already. But every time I ever get a chance to talk about it, I like to give an update of how the situation is in the homeland right now, because unfortunately it's not popular news. So you don't get to hear about it every single day, and unless you're following all of our social media all the time or interacting with people that are doing projects there and stuff like that, you don't know how it is there every day. So right now, the situation has changed a lot since ISIS. In 2014, as you know, everybody was evacuated from Mosul and then all of our villages. All of Nineveh was completely empty of Christians, at least Al-Hosh down and to the right. Everything was empty, and they were all living displaced. And these are not people that were already poor. These are middle-class people, some of them very wealthy people, and maybe some lower-income people, all different kinds of families. These were many, many towns completely evacuated and essentially homeless. So our entire community became homeless. So if you could imagine that happening here, let's say the city of Sterling Heights became evacuated, our community would go crazy. I know our community cares. When you see somebody that's sick, maybe a child that has cancer, I see everybody post. Everybody raise money, a GoFundMe starts, everybody cares. Even if you don't know them, you chip in. So I see our community come together when there's When there's a need, they come together, especially when it's closer physically, geographically. So we, the founders of Shama, we knew people cared. We knew it from the bottom of our hearts that we knew people cared about our community and they wanted to help. But there's something that was holding them back, and it's geography. 7,000 miles of space that was making them not feel it as much as if your neighbor was kicked out of their home and homeless. So what we did is, because we're youth-based, we have the power of the media on our side, since everybody lives on the internet, I guess. So we are very media-based. So we decided that we are going to bring the homeland into in the palm of their hand, and we're going to bring them as close as possible to the situation as we can. And so you will see us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube, every social media you can think of, directly working with the homeland. You'll see the families, you'll see the problems, and the solutions and what we're doing to help. So I said when I first started talking that it's very different. In the beginning, everybody was homeless. They were sleeping outside, literally outside on the park in piles with blankets and whatever they could get their hands on. And sleeping inside churches, abandoned buildings, anywhere that they could. And then it was also over 100 degrees in the daytime, and then it got cold at night. And so it was crazy when we started. All we were thinking about was, we need shelter, and then like 1 hour later, we need emergency medication, then like 2 hours later, we need food. Like every few hours, we needed something else. It was too many people that was just displaced. The day felt like a lifetime. Everybody was working very hard. And then after about a year, most people had a shelter. It was either they were living in caravans or like some buildings that were adjusted. They were not good shelters. You had a family of like 6 or more people in a caravan, which is a box, for 3 years. Many people lived in it. They just went back at the end of last year. They just went back to their homes. So today, most of those people, thank God, are back home. They've gone back to their villages. So most people have returned home, and they are living in some very damaged homes, a lot of people. So some of them are partially destroyed. They're missing doors and windows, and I don't know why. All the doors and windows were just knocked out of the houses, and that's an important security feature. So some people were able to fix it themselves, some weren't, some NGOs are helping. And some people still don't have doors and windows on their homes. Some of them are burned. So for no reason at all, ISIS burned the homes before they left. So the burned is more expensive damage. And that's like, it's just concrete. So the concrete structure is still standing. All the homes are made of concrete. And then it's just black inside with no windows and doors. And like all their bedrooms and furniture and everything's just gone. Maybe there's a good room and a bad room. So sometimes if there's a good room, they went back home and the whole family's in that one room. They just turned it into they were living in a caravan before, this beats that. But, these homes need repairs. That's Shama's biggest focus in 2018. We want to be able to fix these homes. And a lot of people have not been able to return home. Some homes were hit by airstrikes. So there's a lot of people that are still displaced right now. Hundreds of families, I would say maybe a few thousand families, which is a lot less than before. But there are a lot of people that are in need still. A lot of people are hoping to return home, get another home. I don't know what each family's different, what their plans are. But we're there doing work. And there's a bunch of other NGOs that do other work too. And one of our greatest values is to work with other charities. So it's important to us to connect. The reason that value is so important is we actually think it's a problem in our community to not work together, so we feel very strongly to continue to always work together, connect, and always be on the, support other charities and them support you back too. So one reason that we started is transparency. So I'm almost done with this, I promise. So when we started, we had a friend, he was visiting from Iraq, and we had just done a rally in Detroit to try to raise attention to what happened. And people wanted to send money with him. They said, to give this to my family, give this to my brother, please give this, and he was like, you guys, why don't I just take donations and then we'll just go fix things? We'll get food, we'll try to do things. We said, well, some people won't give you because, we'll give you because you're our friend, but some people are not going to trust you. Who are you? You're a stranger. our community at that time especially was mostly only donating to churches, so like, you know, we have big trust issues, and for a good reason. Iraq is actually it's ranked badly in transparency, you know, so there's a lot of corruption that goes on around there. So we said, how can we solve this problem? How can we get our community that really genuinely wants to help, how can we get their donations there and show them and make it very clear, and us too, how can we watch the money? How can we make sure it gets to the right spot? So we sat there and we just started thinking about this, and we came up with every single idea we could come up with, and that's how the organization was born. And then we bought a website and named it, and that just happened right there on the spot. The whole thing started just so we could create this transparency. And so the way that it is when people make a donation, this is actually hard for us, but 100% of the donation has to be spent. So if somebody gives $20 has to be spent on the project, and we cover the extra expenses from other fundraising. So like, for example, we have administrative costs. We have to pay for like banking and internet and PayPal fees and all this other stuff. We don't take that from people's donations. We fundraise other ways to pay for that, just so people can see 100% go, so that they can, you know, feel very comfortable and secure in the transparency. So when the money, when they donate the money, it sits in the bank and it's categorized on a sheet and it goes in order. So the person who donated first, their money will be spent first. And this is what Yvette works with a lot actually back there. This is her big department. And after it's spent, the donors get an email, and it's listed on our website publicly with their name, and we just put your last initial. For security reasons, we did that in the beginning. People didn't want their names out there when ISIS is everywhere. So your first name, last initial, and then we do, we have photos from the project, the exact project that was helped. We have videos. Kassab knows this already. I know I'm talking to Kassab because you guys have donated. But we have first name, last initial, photos, the receipts from what was spent. Sometimes those receipts are written in Arabic or Syriac. So then we also have a listing in English with how much everything costs. And then we also have a video. And some of those videos, the people will say thank you. They'll be like, thank you, Chris, or whatever your name is. So they'll say, the kids will say thank you, or whoever's in the video, or the priest, they'll say thank you for your donation. That's how we add an extra measure. So we have thought of everything we could, and then still, people will say, I don't trust you. How do I know the money's going to the right place? We'll say, well, what can we do? What more can you think of for us to show you? What can we do? And we will try to do it. And there's what more? The one more thing that we could think of is like to live video us doing the project. I am walking over to this building, so like I kind of do that sometimes. We post right away. So there's nothing more we can think of doing. So our biggest thing here is transparency, and we think we've been a great example to other charities. We noticed that a lot more charities are posting regularly, and we've been promoting partnerships. So you'll see Shauna working with a lot of other charities. We're very, very happy to do that. If you know a charity in the homeland, let us know. We can try to work with them. Yeah, that's all. I guess I should give some college encouragement, since a lot of other people did that too. But some of the best leaders that I have ever worked with, youth leaders, came out of Kassab. And it's because, and it doesn't have to be Kassab, it can be other charities, Kassab and other organizations. If you are looking for a leadership role, you can do many organizations. Because you get that experience at a young age of managing volunteers and trying to get people to care. It's very hard to get people to care. And in Kassab, you do get that opportunity to try to, you see the struggle when people are like, is there food? Okay, I'll come to the meeting, And you're like, we have something so much more important than food to give to you, but, it's hard. So, like, when you get that experience, it sticks with you, and you move forward in life trying to get people to care. And all these speakers here are trying to share a very powerful message and trying to they want you to drink this message, and you're experiencing this at a young age now. And as you move forward as an adult, you can share your message, and you can share something very powerful. And I encourage you to stay involved, get more people in Kassab, keep doing what you're doing. That's all.
Thank you, Rena. As you heard Rena say, she worked with me for a couple of years, and I can tell you one thing about her: she is the hardest working person. She stepped to the plate every time we need anything done. She must have worked in like 8 different companies in any given week, just switching roles, and she did a lot for the D-Man Foundation. You were a great assistant, but now you are a great leader. And the work that you and Yvette and Shlama are doing, this organization is amazing. So if you don't follow them. The transparency is true, and it's really, really God's work. I know, I think I was talking with Yvette the other day that I want to be able to do something for the sick children over there. So I want to continue that conversation this year. So thank you very much. And now I'd like to bring to the stage an artist and a sculptor, Mr. Sabah Wezi. Hey, they put your name on the list, man. I'm just reading them off.
And you walk in.
Good timing, sir.
Hi,
how are you?
You just want to put that absurd about it. Maybe Salah a little bit shy, but Salah is an artist and sculptor. Okay, but and he does a lot of work. Actually, the work in the back over there is done in stone in India. That to bring the coloring, original coloring and culture to it, he did it here. So that's why he's here. Sure. To Tanzania? Yeah. Okay, no problem. But anyway, he does a great job. He's in the Flint. He do a lot of performing. He did a lot of things. That's part of his work, and we're proud of it. He's promoting our culture in the same time. Thank you.
Next on the list, man needs no introduction, Mr. Sam Kassab.
Okay. So, I heard my good friend Alexander here talking about who was the boxer name? Humanitarian. Forget about him. I will tell the story that I use it in my life. I use it in my business, and I follow that story because it's very important to learn from it. All my business, even the story of the museum took about 10 years. I moved to the house in 2004. I finished it in 2014. I have to go to India and to bring the pieces, give them size, measurement of the wall, places. It was not an easy work to create a museum, but I did it. Why? Because I learned certain principles in life from many stories and I applied in the business in my life every day. This story is very important. One of the stories is there was a boxer. There's a movie Rocky. How many of you saw the movie Rocky? Okay, the movie Rocky based on the story of a boxer. His name was Rocky Marciano. Anybody know about Rocky Marciano boxer? Okay, so Rocky Marciano, he was a boxer, well known, and one of the fight, they thought Rocky Marciano, he lost the fight, and he was all the way down. The referee came in and took the hand of the other boxer and put it up. And Rocky Marciano was in the ground bleeding, dying. And he pulled himself out. He get up slowly. He get up and he got and came to the other guy. Before his hand in the air, he punched another box. And he won that fight. The guy came in, the broadcaster got a microphone to Rocky Marciano and said, Rocky, how did you win that fight? Rocky said, doesn't matter how many times they knock you down, it's how many times you get up and fight. This is how the life is in business, in school, in everything. You want to be a leader, you have to be willing to pay the price. So the point is, we learn here, sometimes you have a dream, it's very difficult for me. How am I going to do this? Too many years of study. I want to be a doctor. Yes, you got to be long hours of study every day. You have to be ready for it. I apply this story always in my business, in my life. Don't give up. And there's one more day, one more hour, one more try, one more year, and you succeed. And you can see there, you could be there. Other story I learned from it is you want to have everything ready when you want to go do something. Do not think you're going to win that fight. Everything to be set there, and you're going to go make it happen. So I applied this story. There was a president. He was General Eisenhower. You heard about him, right? So Eisenhower in his diary, they said, ask him, General, how did you win all this fight? Every time you go to the fight, after that become president, he said, General Eisenhower said exactly this word.
When you go to the fight, you don't have to be 100% ready. Put God to your heart and go. By the time you're going, you will find help from your right and your left. Go right now, do not wait. And he said, if you wait, three things could be happen. Could get rain, could get snow, you could get attacked. Go. By the time you go, you will find everything there for you. Do not waste it. How many years is it going to go? Where are I going to find the money? Where are I going to get the job? How are we going to live over there? All these things, it will follow if you follow your dream. So think about it that way. And I want to say thank you for all of you, for the Kassab group, for everybody who was attending today here. Hope we could have more events like this. And I can answer any question for anybody has to ask me. Anybody got a question? Okay, I would like to call Colin here, the president of Kassab. I want to say, Colin, how a great job you are doing to this community and to your students, to your friends, to your colleagues. We're proud of you and all of you.
We need to give this one to Sandra. She put this whole thing together.
Come on in, Sandra.
Sandra approached me in September and was like, this guy I know has a museum in his basement and he wants to have an event where Kassab comes and visits it. I was down and I told my board and they were like, that's creepy, go check it out. If it's cool, make it happen. so it was all her. She did all the work on this.
But thank you, Salah, for that. Where are we doing? Where are we going with this? But today, I want to say to both of you, the group, I want to present a small gift to you. And for you as president of the organization, so just the box. This actually represents the culture of Iraq. Wait. This way. Congratulations. Thank you. Good job. Thank you all. Anybody want to say anything else? Anybody want to say anything? Adib, you want to say anything? You want to say something? Come on.
Well, first of all, this is my first time here, so I really impressed and inspired with all this that Mr. Sam is doing. And I think, like he said, it doesn't come from just the money and the work. It comes from the heart. And I think he got a big heart. And the love that he gives to our community make us feel very proud of him. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You want to say something?
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you all. Let's have some music and dance.
Hello, Sam. Thank you very much for hosting everyone here at your house. Sam, can you tell us a little bit more about how did you come up with this beautiful idea of turning your basement into our culture museum?
Well, this is actually coming in because first thing, I am from Iraq, and Iraq is our original homeland. It's the place I born, I learn, I study at college, and I work. I born in Tel Aviv. I study in Baghdad. I work in Basra. So I claim all Iraq is our great country. And I study the history of Iraq and the culture of Iraq and our culture actually. And I learned that how great culture we have, how great civilization they live there. Going back to Sumerian time and before the Sumerian and until today. And we have a great country, great culture. I mean, this culture actually stops by fall the Babylonian city to the hand of Persia. But today, it's still since that time that culture stops. But when the scholar came from the Europe, they discovered all the civilization and it belonged to us. We still speak, practice, seeing the same culture that was exist in old times, thousands of years ago.
Thank you, Sam. When did you start all this?
Well, I moved to this house in 2004. When we moved here, nothing was in a museum. So I look at it, and that much I was in love with the history and culture. I could make something nicer. So I started with the two big pieces and ordered that's actually from India. And they came in perfectly. And after that, we decided to continue another phase about Ashtar Gate, and we continue after that other pieces. And to finish all this, in the same time, I was planning to do, actually, as we are Iraqi from Mesopotamia, and this is our culture, but today we're proud to be American. This is our country today. Give us all kind of opportunity. The other section of the museum, as you could see, is represent the life we live in today, and the country give us a freedom and opportunity. So this is actually, I'm sorry, this is 10 years. I started 2004, I finished in 2014. This is only one-man work, so it was kind of takes time.
Thank you very much, Sam. Can you just tell us one more question? How do you maintain all this?
As you know, this is stone in the wall. It's hard to maintain, but the hardest thing was 10 years. My wife said you could have all your basement, you could have anything you want. 10 years hard work. There's a welder, steel structure, a mason, all kind of work for 10 years to put all this piece together, but we were able to do it. So maintaining it now is easier than was before. Now I enjoy it. We have a lot of guests coming in always, and many occasions taken in this museum, and we named it Danny Kassab Museum after my son Danny passed away.
Thank you very much, Sam.
My pleasure. Thank you for MEA TV and my good friend Wally. And our media is Miss Crystal Ashaka. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.